the fourth of four arithmetic operations. We're talking about division here. Division is something we can do to a set of numbers. This division is so interesting. We're going to divide it, I think, into three different sections. So let's call them A, B, C. So here's the first part, section A of division, the arithmetic operation of division. So what is the operation, or sorry, what is the action that happens when we're dividing? It's the action of separating, which you might say is the same action that happens with subtraction, and you'd be right. With subtraction, I subtract one thing at a time. So in that picture on subtraction, we had 6 dots. We removed or separated 2 from it, and we were left with 4. With division, what we're doing is we're not just separating one thing from what we started with, but we're taking what we start with and chopping it all up into groups. So that's what division is. If subtraction is starting with something and removing and separating once, then division is starting with something and removing repeatedly until I've got nothing left. So here's one way that we can use division. So let's say we're going to make, let's say we're dealing with cards here. Now I know there's 52 cards in a deck. Let's pretend there's 56. We've got the jokers and whatever else in there. And so let's say we've got the number of things that's being split and shared is 56 cards. We've got number of groups, 8. We've got 8 people who are going to play with us. So we're going to sort the cards into 8 different groups, and we will be able to find out the size of each group, how many cards each person gets in our story. With division especially, I think division makes a lot more sense when we put a story on top of the situation. So we're talking here 56 cards, 8 people. We want to share or split the cards out to the 56 cards across 8 people and see how many cards each person gets. So if you look at what's happening in the picture right now, the 56 cards that started in the center, then what happened next is we got 8 rectangles, and now we're just dealing. Everybody gets 1, go around, everybody gets 2, go around, everybody gets 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Everybody gets 7 cards. There's an example of using division to start with 56 cards and separate them into 8 groups. And in doing that, we find that the size of each group was 7 cards per person. That's the first example of separation. Here's the second. Separating again, you might notice this is exactly the same. We're still starting with 56 cards. Now, these two have just taken a switcheroo. In the previous one, we were dividing by the number of groups, and we said we had 8 groups. Now we're dividing by the size of each group. So we've decided I've got 56 cards. I want to give each person 8 cards. How many people can play? That's putting a story on top of this question. 56 cards, the size of each group, 8 cards in each group. How many groups or how many hands can I deal? How many I can get? So the question turns out to look like this. There's our 56 cards. There's 8 cards in the first hand, second, third, 8 in the fourth, 8 in the fifth hand, 8 in the sixth hand, 8 in the seventh hand. They're all gone. 7 different groups that can form 7 hands of cards with 8 in each hand. So that's the second pattern for division. So one word I've been using a lot is like the word separating, the word sharing, splitting, dealing cards. These are words, the action words that come up when we're thinking of dividing. We're starting with something again, and we are chopping it, we're slicing it, we are sharing it, we're cutting it into groups that are the same size. And that's an important thing too. Notice in both of the previous questions, we were taking something and dividing it either into pieces that were all the same size or into groups that all had the same amount in them. The name for an answer of a divide question is the word quotient. So we call the answer to an adding question the sum. We call the answer to a subtraction question the difference. We call the answer to a multiplying question the product. This word quotient is the name we give to the answer of a divide question. And there are many different ways to write a division question out. In this case, 18 divided by 3 is written in words. Notice the 18 comes first. And I'll finish this off in the